My friends, it just keeps happening. Actually and truly this time. Many have wondered, could it possibly continue to happen? And the answer is yes. Somehow, Ace returned again, this time with an absolutely insane untied world record that possibly only he could get. Bunker 2 Secret Agent 37 seconds, a 1 second cut from the tied record of 38 with Clemens, and a record which already had an incredible gap of 3 seconds beyond third place and lower. And yes, most importantly, it's that 1 second cut, taking the overall time of the game from 1:10:05 to 1:10:04, putting the game precariously close to breaking this massive final barrier in GoldenEye, or even 1:10:03 if we count the Frigate Agent 21 of Rebecca Smith's or Mirror Mage, something I will get into in more detail later. But first, my friends, let us rejoice in the remarkable achievement of Ace's latest untied world record and explore the story of Bunker 2 Secret Agent 37.
Here we go!
So here's a quick history of Bunker 2 Secret Agent through the lens of 3 particular untied world records which stick out to me the most in the game's history. Big Boss Man got a time of 50 seconds in April 2004, part of his iconic Untied sweep on the stage. There were many records set before this, but Boss's times from 0304 are often seen as the first milestone or early watermark as to being very decent, skillful, optimized records that began to bring the game's times closer to where they should be. To this very day, more than 20 years later, fewer than 60 people have achieved under 50 seconds on the stage, and that's with tons of new innovations, techniques, the breadth of communal wisdom obtained through the ages, and even some direct time-saving strategies. But before all those players came along and got lower than 50, the first player to do this was the one and only Bass Boost with 49. You know, the fella I did the AGDQ 2014 co-op 2 controllers 1 bond 2.x speedrun with. He got 49 seconds in March 2006, breaking Boss's Untied sweep. More impressively, Bass Boost used the 1.1 control style, which uses the control stick to move rather than the C buttons, and is generally viewed as slower overall, leaking time on corners, especially notable on such a tightly cornered level like Bunker 2. This was also the peak era of Bass Boost playing GoldenEye and listening to rave music and sharing with me stories of his raving adventures. I vividly remember Bass Boost setting the original Untied 49-second world record video of this time to a song by Dutch DJ Ferry Corsten. Honestly, just a totally sick video to see as a teenager back in the early internet in the year 2006. But the strategy mostly stayed the exact same as Boss's 50, as it did through the following years, when Ace and Clemens battled and optimized many of the game's stages, ultimately lowering the time all the way to 44 seconds by Clemens. Now, this was considered for a very long time to be maybe the best world record in the game. It would remain untied for over 5 years from when Clemens set it in late 2010 until Ace tied it in 2016. That 44-second time is still considered one of the most iconic untied world records in GoldenEye history, especially considering the era it was set, and it really showed how these guys pushed the game to levels no one ever thought possible. So how did it go any lower from there? Take it to October 2019, so almost exactly 9 years after Clemens originally got that time of 44 seconds, and only Ace had tied it to that point. This is unbelievably remarkable in its own right, but it was time for me to do a Speedlore episode about the stage. In that episode, I pondered a strategy which had been known in the tool-assisted speedrun realm, and one which we had been using all this time on Double Agent, a technique in which we lured the clipboard guard from his original position in this corner of the bunker to a position more directly on our path through the stage. You know, Bunker 2 is an extremely complicated level. There's 6 cameras you have to shoot out, numerous items you have to pick up. On Double Agent, you also need to pick up 2 safe keys and then open the safe. And I suppose we kind of figured that the clipboard lure worked better on Double Agent because of how we kind of had to work our way back towards the safe. But the tool-assisted speedrunners did find a way for the clipboard lure to work on Secret Agent. And so I simply asked, like, maybe we're too stuck in our ways. Maybe Clemens' time of 44 was so good with the non-clipboard lure strategy that no one pondered a clipboard lure. But like, look, it's 2019. Let's figure out the clipboard lure on Secret Agent. And quite literally, within 1 or 2 days of that Speedlore episode airing, Ace did it. Somehow, Ace returned and untied the stage to 42 seconds using a clipboard lure technique. There are even dozens of possible paths with the clipboard technique, which could be fast or similarly fast. Ace found this one in particular to do the trick, and do the trick indeed it did. Now, this time remained untied for a couple of years until another wrench got thrown into the stage in August 2021, when the jail cell Arlene warp technique was found, skipping the pause for the watch magnet attract, and quite literally just saving the time of going in and out of the pause, which is 3 or 4 seconds, for free on the stage. Now, this was quite a controversial time because a few guys were hoarding, and they actually hoarded this technique in order to lower the time on Agent. It was seen as kind of a huge unfair controversy to really keep secret one of the game's biggest game-breaking strategies for a period of several months. But no one in the Horde was frankly competent enough to untie Secret or Double Agent even with this 3 to 4 second time. You'll recall Ace and Clemens were just leagues ahead of anyone else on this stage. But once the technique did go public, a handful of players did indeed tie 42 seconds with the jail cell Arlene warp, helping them save 3 to 4 seconds. Quite good incentive to do so, but none were able to beat the time of 42 seconds. Until, somehow, Mark Rutsu returned with a time of 41.
Do it. That's 41. Lost that shit. Yep. What's up then, bitch? Got 42 war record 20 minutes ago. 20 minutes later, 41. That's how you do it. Yeah, baby. Let's go.
This didn't last too long though, because Ace lowered this from 41 to 40 and then to 38, and then a couple years later only Clemens has matched that 38 seconds. These three, Ace, Mark, and Clemens, are truly the trifecta of who are, in my opinion, the most skilled all-time GoldenEye speedrunners. And especially when it comes to these complicated stages with lots of cornering, movement, aiming, and all sorts of chaotic things going on. Don't get me wrong, there are other great players, especially kind of strafe specialists or level specialists, but when it comes to your standard chaotic, insane GoldenEye stage, like a Bunker 2 or a Control or a Silo, these three guys just can't be beat. And so the record sat at 38 seconds since 2021, tied by Ace and Clemens. But the thing is, these chaotic stages are often unoptimized just because of their nature. They're not like a Streets Agent or a Statue where it's a lot of strafing and kind of a maxed speed cap where you're going at full speed all the time. There are so many micro optimizations you can do. Faster camera shots, first shot camera shots and all that. And oftentimes, because Ace and Clemens are so great at the game, people really can't push the level beyond where those guys have already pushed it. But they can often push it a little bit more. And so for Ace, he figured, I could revisit the stage and possibly lower it. And as I've mentioned in previous videos about this kind of ultimate barrier break in GoldenEye, the sub 110, Ace figured with $500 American of bounties on the line, and he just cashed in some juicy bounties from his previous Untied World Record on Train. Ace thought, let's do it. Let's cash some more in. He played, and he got the time. And let's read Ace's post on his website, acecorner.ca, about this new time. Gents, we have done it again. I caked Bunker 2 Secret Agent 37 in a 10-minute session. Believe it or not, this was actually a shocker because, 1, I had a completely swollen hand from arthritis. Yikes. I developed a couple of days earlier and was only planning to do a semi-casual 30-minute session. And 2, I was in the midst of working, running an automated test for some software that was going to take 30 minutes, and so I wasn't 100% focused. I'm disappointed OBS didn't recognize my mic and capture the reaction because it was pretty cool, but I did go live immediately on Twitch for some commentary. I've updated the goals and tier list pages, and I'm still waiting for my hand to heal so I can give Surface 1 Secret Agent some proper attempts. We'll just have to wait. So that's some pretty good insight, but let's get some more insight and listen to Ace's own commentary on the stage. He went live for about 42 minutes. I'll link the whole clip in the description, but I'll condense some of his thoughts and commentary.
11-minute session. I just booted up the game for the first time today. I was busy doing some stuff on the side, but while I was waiting for something to happen, I decided to boot this game up and play a little bit of B2SA, and I really did not expect it. I somehow clutched it. I wasn't even expecting this to be 37, but I should shut up and play the run first, and then we'll talk about all that stuff. No, yeah, this is the run. Bad cinema, sort of, doesn't really matter for this strat. Pretty standard start, except getting extra clubs always helps. This was insane. Yeah, that was crazy. That probably saved it. It honestly might be 36 pace to that point.
Back.
Yeah, it's...
Although that boost did make up for that stuck on the black.
Yeah. Alright, so I at least know there's no frame drops.
That's good.
That's a very clean run. I now know why it's 37. That mainframe camera was pretty sick. The ending was like kind of trash though, and like the clipboard guy was a little far away. I mean, I am on like the right side here, but that might be because I was also super fast in the mainframe room camera. So I at least know that that's not really a bottleneck, because I thought if you're like super fast there, then you would have problems with this god, like he'd be further out. At this point I kind of thought it was 37. I wasn't even nervous though, because I was just like still like just getting into the sesh. And then yeah, I got that hit, and I was like, oh, I don't know if it's 37 anymore, because I forgot about the start or whatever. And then I botched this warp, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be a 38 dupe, even with that boost. And of course I always get worried about this warp, because this is not as easy as it looks in left strafe, but this one I was like, holy shit, I think it's a low 38 dupe. No, I only said 38, I didn't say low. But yeah, that's a really sick kill, which is also good because you get double clobs, which does make like the triple cameras in the middle, like the mainframe camera and the two like just before the tape, it does make those a bit easier with the extra club ammo. So like this was pretty sick.
So, Bunker 2 Secret Agent 37, a new Untied World Record and another second cut. And the game goes down to 1:10:04 or 1:10:03 if we count Rebecca Smith's Frigate Agent 21. That means 3 seconds more cut to 1:10 and 4 for the amazing 109 barrier. I really want to see it. A huge congratulations to Perfect Ace for Bunker 2 Secret Agent 37. Will he get another Untied? Will he do this whole thing himself? Or are we going to see some other players jump in and cut some time now that there's so much attention and focus on this all? Whatever happens, I will be sure to update you all, my friends. A huge thanks to you for watching. A huge thanks to the Patreon supporters and channel members for your support. Stay true, my friends, and I will see you in the next stream, video, or fireside.